Hi, welcome back. Just finishing up the onions right now. Y'all may not realize this, but the only time I get is a little bit of time while y'all are gone watching the stuff about my sponsors. So we've got our second pot on, getting hot. All right. Going to get my vegetables into there. Now, there's a pot I've got here, the one that we're using here. This is an enameled cast iron pot. All right. Those can get pricey if you go to one of the fancy cooking stores. I've seen pots like that, upwards of $350. I'm going to say this the television way. Our local warehouse club has this one for $39. It's the best deal I've ever seen. I've got two. I recommend you go get one. It's the greatest thing for making soups, stews, chili. The cast iron really holds on to the heat and then gives it back real evenly, and things don't scorch as easy. If you've got cheap, thin-bottom pans and you're wondering why everything's always scorching and burning, it's that thin bottom is causing hot spots. So we don't want that to happen. Now, I'm going to go back over here to the refrigerator, and I'm going to get out another vegetable that's going to go into our shrimp bisque, okay? Let me give this a quick stir. Yep, and before I forget, let's add some salt to these vegetables. So, what I've got here is something that you've probably seen in the grocery store and didn't really know what to do with. This is fennel, okay? Fennel is a great vegetable. You've probably seen it in your spice rack. You buy the little thing that's got 43 different spices in it, and 42 of them you don't know what to do with. There's always one in there marked fennel seed, and it's what this is grown from. You can take the tops and use those for garnish or in a salad. The bottom we're going to cut up and use in our shrimp bisque. This is an anise flavor, okay? Anise is a licoricey flavor, but don't be scared if I don't like the black jelly beans either, but this is a great flavor. It adds a lot of interesting depth. And you can see this thing's put together very similar to like a big piece of celery. Okay? It's in different layers and can peel apart that way. But we're going to treat it for purposes with our knife like an onion. So you see how it's kind of oblong? I'm going to take and go down the long side. And then you can see in here the different layers. And I'm going to take, and instead of going across, I'm just going to go straight down. Again, just missing the back here so it'll all stay together. And then we're going to go straight through to the board. All right? And then back here, we can just chop it up. So it's all, again, what we want's about the same size. We're not worried about whether it's pretty or not in this. This adds a very unique flavor. This is a shrimp bisque recipe that I worked on for weeks to get the way I want it. And that was me just modifying other bisques I have seen. And fennel is just such an interesting flavor that I really enjoy having it in there. So we're just going to let it saute down. Again, we've already got some salt in there. And we're also going to take some lemon and just cut it in half. This is a great lemon, nice and juicy. And we're going to add some lemon juice. Now, I'm going to save the other half of that lemon, and we're going to add it at the beginning. Notice I'm squeezing the lemon into my hand. The reason is that's where all the seeds are. I've now trapped, looks like half a dozen seeds that I don't have to fish out of there later. If one did get by you in this particular recipe, it's not that big a deal just because of the fact that we're going to strain everything at the end. So I wish y'all could smell this. This is incredible. Let me get another spoon out. Now, each one of these are also going to get some tomato paste. The orangish color you get in shrimp bisque and crawfish bisque and all that, partly is from the shells, the iodine in the shells coming out, and partly from tomato paste. Now, what we want to do, though, is make sure that we put the tomato paste in now while we're sauteing, because I want to cook some of that raw tomato flavor out of them. And the way you can tell you've done that is you'll watch and see how much darker this is going to get. Okay, so there's one. Then we'll put it in over here. And now, like I said, this is crawfish bisque and shrimp bisque. The pot I'm working on now is the shrimp. But you'll notice none's been in yet. Well, we're fixing to get to that part and tell you how we get our flavoring. Let me just stir this in. And these will both be available in the restaurant this week as the soup choice on our menu. We do seafood gumbo every day, and I'm going to show y'all how to do that one. We're going to do that probably in another couple of 3 weeks, and show you how to do shrimp. Seafood gumbo the way I do it, which is completely backwards from how most people do it. And again, it's got to do with this roux we're making today. But you see now we've got the tomatoes mixed in, and we're just going to leave some fire going there to get that going. Now, we'll start with the shrimp, okay? What we do is anytime you peel shrimp, okay, before they're cooked, so you're doing a dish that calls for peeled and deveined shrimp, like we did last week. I told you to save the shells. This is why. Put them in a Ziploc bag, throw them in the freezer. Peel some more shrimp, put them in a Ziploc bag, throw them in the freezer. When you build up enough, and this is probably enough shells, this is probably from about 6, 7 pounds of shrimp, you take them out and you put them right here in your pot, okay? And this is where we're getting the flavor for our bisque, all right? The same thing with the crawfish. You see, these are still frozen even a little in the middle. We're just going to take these and put them in here, and you'll tell as soon as they start cooking because they're going to start pinking up. Now, I'm going to put a little more heat to that so it'll move on along a little quicker. Now, over here on the crawfish side, in this cooler, I've got heads and shells from 20 pounds of crawfish. Now, that's obviously not going to fit in this pot. If you boiled the crawfish yourself and they're super spicy, they got a lot of spice on the outside, you may want to rinse them. Don't rinse them hard because we want all of this good stuff that's inside here. Okay, that's where our flavor's coming from. I prefer to just use the heads and the claws. Okay, the tails are okay if you made sure while you were peeling them that you got all of the veins out. Because like we've talked about on the shrimp, that's not a vein. And I tell you what, I just learned a trick too on crawfish. On a crawfish boil, if you're going to boil them yourself, you got live crawfish. I have always been taught to purge them, is what we're going to call it, and that's to help clean them, in salted water. Okay, put them in fresh water, add salt. Well, it turns out that doesn't clean them, that makes them mad. It doesn't do anything to get rid of, well, some of these had some big claws. Doesn't do anything to get rid of what's in the vein, and the vein is the intestinal tract. So having said that, we know what's in the vein. We want that out. If you'll take your crawfish, you got to plan ahead, but put them in a big cooler, put fresh water over them, and take and put your aerator like you use for your fish aquarium in there, 24 hours, change the water twice, they'll be clean. When we come back, we're going to get to finishing these up. Come back and see us.